Hi, friends. Welcome to today's episode of We Are Marketing Happy, a healthcare marketing podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Bristow, and I'm also the CEO and founder at Hedy and Hopp, a full service, fully healthcare marketing agency. And as you can hear from my voice, I am coming to you fresh off the plane from HCIC 2025. It was in Las Vegas. So much fun. I will say I'm an old lady. I did not go out partying every night. My voice sounds like I did, but this is just for being in the conference areas with all the cigarette smoke. So I'm going to have my trusted colleagues actually lean in and do most of the talking today. We're going to be doing a recap of the best. What happened at HCIC? If you weren't able to go, what were the key trends? What were the sessions that everybody was buzzing about? And Marissa's going to share some details on if you wish you were there. There's an opportunity next week to sit in on a session virtually to get some of the information. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off and hand it over to Marissa Gurrister, our Director of Growth. Marissa, what was your favorite part and some key takeaways?
It was wonderful, honestly. So this was my first HCIC, which was exciting to go and see folks. Vegas was fun. I am happy to be home. Vegas for 3 days is a lot of Vegas, but it was really great. I will say I feel like there was so much buzz around Epic. Just like everywhere you go and everyone you chatted with, folks are wanting to know about all of these new tools and systems within Epic that we can be using for marketing and tracking ROI and connecting with patients. I feel like there was definitely a buzz in the air. I mean, you would like stand in line for coffee and you were like overhearing folks talk about it, or like going to a happy hour and folks from different organizations were chatting about what they are doing or what they want to be doing. I also think there was a lot of buzz around your Epic session, Jenny. A lot of folks were talking about it, which was really exciting to hear that it was a useful session for so many folks and that they really got a lot out of it. So that was great. And as Jenny mentioned, we will be doing that session again virtually for those who were not able to attend. So next Thursday on the 20th, we are doing a webinar. You can sign up and register for that. We'll put links in the comments so that you can register for that. But we will be replaying that session virtually for any who weren't able to attend, or maybe colleagues of those who were from systems that were at HCIC. So that was really exciting. We had a beautiful booth too. I know we kind of teased it a little bit at Shishmid, but Annie Kuhn came back again with us to HCIC and did all of the florals for the booth. We had our beautiful earrings, which was so fun. It's just like a joyful moment. Everything was beautiful. And so shout out to her. Thank you so much, Annie. But really, I think that was like my big takeaway. It was a great few days. I really enjoyed it. It was great to be with the team. We went to several sessions. I will say there was a few sessions that stood out to me. I attended the CMO panel that they had on Tuesday, which was really fun. I got to hear some insights from several industry leaders. Specifically, though, I'm looking over here at my notes so I don't forget anything. But specifically, I know Stuart Dill presented from Vanderbilt. He was one that had starred on my schedule. I really wanted to attend and hear what they were doing. He had a lot of great overviews on like brand preference and brand awareness and brand consideration, and how as marketers we need to be positioning our campaigns in different ways for each of those phases, and really focusing on like what we can actually control, and the rest will like kind of fall into place, which was a very fresh perspective. I enjoyed that. He also had a really interesting analogy for like marketing versus branding, and how our brand is the sailboat and the sails, and marketing is the wind that propels it. So it was kind of like a fresh way to think about it. My favorite part though is he sneak peeked their new brand campaign that is launching next week. It is beautiful. I loved it. I like teared up a little bit. I cannot wait for you all to see it. It's so good. So excited to see that in market for him. Kudos to their team. It looks wonderful. But yeah, it was a great session.
Very nice. I love it. Shelby, let's pass it over to you. So Shelby's a senior account manager at Hedy and Hopp. This is your second year at HCIC, I believe.
Second, maybe third.
Yes, third.
I
I
think
love it.
third. Yeah, crazy. Time goes by fast. Yes, it was such a great time to get to connect with some familiar faces and new faces. But one of my favorite sessions that I attended that also I had heard people chatting about around the conference was Mount Sinai's session around the camera ready physician. We all know how hard it is to get physicians behind the camera, one. And when they're behind the camera, to make it a productive, useful time, it's hard. They're great at what they do. Being behind a camera is not, their zone of genius. So the Mount Sinai social media team, the social media manager Brian and social media coordinator Susie did such a fun job making this session different. They had a fun video intro that then they kind of walked in together in theme. Felt, very Vegas, very showy. It was so fun. But they had some really great takeaways around what they're doing that's making coaching physicians easier because we know short form content that looks organic, real, not staged, not scripted is what folks are wanting to see, what they're reacting to. So they created this kind of boot camp that they bring their physicians through where they just have them ramble freely. They're just like, talk to us about this topic. Let's just get you comfortable. Talking to them about random topics that they're passionate about. If they love to cook at home, talk to me about that. Get them comfortable. And their social media team does a lot of passive and active listening to kind of identify where do they light up when they're just rambling on this topic? Where is their personality starting to come out? And then they do follow-up questions to really dig deeper in those areas. And then their team in post-production kind of uses clips to create the snappiest little tidbits that feel more natural, more organic. They showed us some more examples and it was just really impressive. They even did a real life example in the session where they had someone come up from the audience and they kind of walked through how they would do it with them. So kudos to you guys for really making this a session that stood out, was different, but also had a lot of actionable ways that systems can be utilizing that same process themselves.
I love that you mentioned that, Shelby. I feel like there was a lot of great presenters at HCIC. There was just some like innovative, exciting ways that they delivered content. I know one of our colleagues also went to Nicklaus Children's session, and Kevin, their CMO, came out, and I think he and a few other presenters had on like superhero capes, which was so fun. So there was like a lot of kind of cool moments like that, which I think really brought some excitement and buzz around the content.
I totally agree. I want to give a shout out to Vanessa Hill from BILH, Beth Israel Lahey Health. They spoke with Writer Girl, Reba Thompson. They had a really cute choose your own adventure in
It
the
was
way
so
that they told
cute.
their story. It was so well done. So
Yeah.
they had a massive project where they went and wanted to re-platform. It turned out to be 17 websites within their system onto a new platform. And so they experienced lots of hurdles and obstacles along the way, but they had a really cute way that they said, choose your own adventure. Like at this pivot point, what would you have done? And they had the audience vote. So it was a very great way to have folks be engaged throughout the entire session. And the outcome was really phenomenal. So kudos to them,
Yeah.
both Writer Girl and Beth Israel Lahey Health on the outcome of that project. Abby, share more about your perspective. So you're an OG, right? Boomerang team member. You were with Hedy and Hopp almost from the very beginning. Went to HCIC back in like 2017, 18, and 19. Left us for a short time and then came back. How was it being at HCIC again? Tell me a little bit about some of the key takeaways from your perspective.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, as you mentioned, I started going to HCIC with Hedy and Hop several years ago, and then unfortunately, it got disrupted by the pandemic. So we had a couple of years off, and then I also took a couple of years off, which was nice. So being back to HCIC for my first time, it was so exciting. Super excited to see everybody again. I saw lots of old faces, which was so great. I mean, it's just being back in that space with people who have a passion for healthcare was just really special to
Yeah.
see friends and connections that I've made over the years, and then made lots of new connections. So great time there. Obviously, I'm also a foodie, so we ate lots of good food while we were there. And I can't forget to call out the fact that Jenny is having a birthday this week, and
Um,
so is Hedy and Hop. So we are turning 10 years old. So exciting to see how we've just grown and had such a fantastic time over the last 10 years. So myself, I didn't get to attend a whole lot of sessions because I'm on the floor a lot talking to folks and introducing them to Hedy and Hop and learning where they are in their journey in marketing, and the successes they're having, the gaps that they're seeing. And one thing that really stood out a lot to me was the importance of just having a partner that understands the complexity of patient privacy. First of all, number one topic that
yeah.
comes up all the time when folks come by and say hi to us and come to us basically saying, please help me. We're flying blind here. How do we navigate this patient privacy and compliance, especially when so many folks and so many organizations work kind of siloed? So you have your
Yeah.
marketing team, you have your compliance team, you have your agency partners. How do we tie that all together and make sure that we're not missing any critical steps to make sure that we're not only collecting data and using it in a safe way, but also maximizing all the data that we do have so we can show the results on all the hard work that these healthcare marketers do. So many great conversations around that. Obviously, Hedy and Hop is fully healthcare, so that helps. Jenny, you and I have had quite the career in healthcare background with you and your health issues that you've had in the past, and how it made it really come to light that healthcare is something we're passionate about.
Sure.
Also, with my background being even on the clinical side way back in the day when I was younger, so being able to have those conversations and fully understand the troubles that these marketers are having, and how we can work together. Obviously, I heard so much great feedback about utilizing tools like these types of podcasts to understand how we can navigate through that. Another area that I had a lot of chatter around was content and how we can safely and effectively use our content to not only draw awareness to important topics, but then also again navigate that crazy landscape of SEO and GEO, so and IAO. So how do we take that content and make sure that we're optimizing it so we can show up in these AI results that are now giving us even more opportunity, but making it a little bit more difficult to make sure that our content is coming up in the top search results. So interesting to hear how different organizations navigate through that, and just so many fun conversations around those pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll say in chatting, with all of the different attendees, I will say that, our biggest takeaway overall from HCIC is that folks are continuously being asked to do more with smaller budgets. And so having to get creative both with the work your internal team is doing and with the way that you partner with outside organizations, and really maximizing those assets really is the key focus going into 2026.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
absolutely. One last shout out. I do want to call out the sweatshirt that Shelby is wearing. So the first night happy hour, all of us were wearing at Hedy and Hop, we're all wearing these matching hand painted sweatshirts by the artist Lauren Young. So lots of folks approached us and said, I want one. So we are going to link to her Instagram in the show notes. She's a phenomenally very, very talented artist, and these sweatshirts are a new item for her. So go check it out. If you're interested, and we'd love, supporting up and coming artists. So,
And Jenny, I will say that I had several comments about the sweatshirts and requests for us to wear them throughout the entire conference so people could just see how pretty they are. So they were a huge hit. Love them so much. And many people asked about where they can find them. So happy we're linking to her page.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We hope, even if you weren't able to attend HCIC, that we gave you a couple of good takeaways of things that you can just take back to your own organization. Look up the folks that we mentioned and their projects that are live that we've referenced. We'll link to a lot of these folks in the show notes so you can go look at their work. All very, very impressive stuff, coming out in our industry right now. We also are going to link again if you're interested in the content that we presented. It is Unlocking Epic for Healthcare Marketers, a webinar. We're doing it next week. Exact same content we presented as a learning lab at HCIC. That is in the show notes. Even if you cannot attend it live, if you have a conflict, still sign up. We're going to send a link to the recording after the fact. There's a lot of innovation happening in this space. And if your organization leverages Epic as an EHR, it will be a great introduction to understand even what tools that you have access to, many things you're already paying for that you can begin leveraging immediately. So hopefully it will be helpful information. So thank you so much for tuning in, folks. Please like this comment, rate it, share this episode with any of your colleagues that you think may find valuable, and tune in next week for another new episode of We Are Marketing Happy. Have a great day, friends. Cheers.